Hey folks, how you doing? It's your favorite sorcerer, Really Sopax, and in this video I want to talk about probably the most important topic when it comes to our craft, which is spirit communication and how to command the spirits. See, the whole universe is all about perception, it's about frequency, and different perceptions and what's going on within you unlock different levels of reality. You know, this is the difference between an esoteric understanding and an exoteric understanding. An esoteric understanding, let me begin with exoteric understanding. An exoteric understanding means it's focused on the outside. Yeah, it's focused on the outside in terms of basically what you would see in most discussions about magic, where it's about is this the right spirit? Is this the right tools that I'm supposed to use? Is this the right machines? Is this and that and the other, right? Now, the most important part of it all, though, is often forgotten, which is the operator himself. The operator, him or herself, is what makes magic work, you see. And I'm going to go into that a little bit in just a second. But this is an esoteric understanding. It's an internal understanding of the art where you can actually unlock it, you see. So what do I mean by everything is perception and frequency and energy? Well, let's take the topic of money, for instance. An exoteric understanding of the topic would be the belief that, you put in work, okay, you work for it, and then you receive a certain amount of money in exchange for your time spent, right? Now, it is true that money is a symbol for an energy exchange. So that's why when you provide something in terms of energy, you need to be compensated for it as well, because that's the only way something can be transferred to the other person, right? Fully. This is why you have a million different ebooks of maybe a whole bunch of different courses that you downloaded for free, but none of that is yours now. It's not yours yet. It's maybe on your hard drive or on your bookshelves, but you can't make it your own. It's because you didn't exchange for it what was necessary to exchange for it. You see, this is how the universe works. Now, that is, once again, that is already an esoteric understanding of the process of acquiring knowledge and making something your own, right? You can't make something your own unless you compensate for it. You cannot just take. You have to leave something there in return, right? But there's another understanding that very, very few people have, right? For instance, that certain languages unlock the energy of money. You see, every form of energy has a certain key, so you can unlock it and bring it under your control, and it changes your perception. So what's going on inside of you is very important. And when it comes to the card of money, for instance, what unlocks it is the language of Latin. The rules of money and the rule of banking and the rule of finance in general are Latin. Based on the law of the sea. Based on the law of the sea. You are bound by the law of the land. The law of the sea is what actually rules this world. And the law of the land, they can make you do certain things. They can bind you to certain ethical codes. They can bind you to this and that and the other, which it's not even ethical. It's just a slave code that you're bound to on the law of the land. And on the law of the sea, or based on the law of the sea, they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? And this is why the financial system is structured the way it is, and that's why it has these effects. That's why it is so concentrated, right? And even when you look at the terms that are being used, it's all based on water, right? Law of the sea, water. You know, you have a bank, which is the connection between land and the water. It's the intermediary between you and the currency. You know, are you liquid? You know, and so on and so forth. You know, cash flow. But what I'm trying to basically just use as an example here is that certain ways of thinking about something, is using certain symbols, are supposed to unlock a certain perception, you know. And if you want to master money, you have to master its language, which is, once again, like I said, Latin. But that's a different topic. The point is that your mind and your body have become a prison. What do I mean by that? You have to understand that the rulers and controllers of this world have intentionally constructed a system based on the language that you use and the terms that are being used. You know, you want to be whole again, but you're creating the loneliness within yourself. You know, what you mean is completion, you know. Which, once again, when you look at the etymology, is creating a depletion within yourself. It's taking your energy away, right? But you are in a body composed of cells. You know, you're in a prison and all these things. Now, the language that you're using itself is trapping you. It's hypnotizing you. You know, because words that come from yourself and words that you put an I am before, they function as hypnotic suggestions. You know, so you've been hypnotized from birth, right? And the controllers of the world, they are magicians. They're very, very, very smart occultists, and they created, you know, for millennia, they created a system in which the spirit is trapped in the mind and the body and serves as energy food, right? So for most people, their own energy, their own mind, their own body is a prison that prevents them from gaining a state of consciousness and a perception in which they themselves can control the currents, the energy currents that are around them, you see. Another thing that is symptomatic of the state of consciousness that I just described is, for instance, people that are, you know, so-called magicians, so-called, you know, advanced occultists that are constantly involved in magical battles and all that stuff, you see. I mean, this is a baby level of understanding of perception and how your own inner states have a cause and effect relationship with the outside world. You know, these people are battling themselves. They're battling their own shadow that they didn't integrate yet. They're battling their own traumas that they haven't healed yet. You see. So you have to understand that this is a game of perception, and as you change the perception and are able to access different frequencies, new things become possible, you know. So there's a level of perception in which you are completely trapped in 3D reality, and you're functioning basically at the frequency levels of the first 3 chakras, where all of it is, everything is about just survival and physical stuff and sex and you know, basically the base instincts and all that stuff, right? And everything is very separate, and you feel very much out of control. So you become very, how do I put it? Become very insecure, and you wanna exert overt and forceful control over your immediate environment, right? And then there's a different level, and you know, each new level that I'm going to describe comes with a new level of freedom of perception, and with that control over the energy currents, which will then lead to a reality manifestation of your design. You know, so at the next level, and none of the stuff is very specifically detailed, but those are just examples supposed to show you different states of consciousness, right? And then there might be another state of consciousness with higher degrees of freedom and perception, where the person becomes aware that magic exists, where they're aware that energy can be manipulated, there are spirits and all that stuff, but that person is not able to clearly and fully communicate with the spirits, neither are they able to direct the energies. And of course, they also don't have the ability to then command the spirits. And then at a fairly elevated level, the spirit, the consciousness, is perceiving beyond their own mind, beyond their own emotions, beyond their own energy, and is able to exert control over the level of ideas and the level of information that informs and structures the energy flow. So now the developments on the astral are under their control. They're no longer a pawn or a figure on the chessboard. Now they're controlling the chessboard. They're remolding the chessboard, the very frame and context in which the spirits operate. And at that level, the magician can control the spirits and can tell them what to do, actually, you see. So the internal development leads to higher states of consciousness, and from each new level of consciousness, different things become possible, you see. So one of the most important things that you need to learn for spirit communication and your ability to command them, your ability to communicate with them, and as a byproduct of that, having occult power, is you need to transcend yourself and your own mind and your own energy. Now, how is that done, Frank? If you're like most people, you're highly compartmentalized. Compartmentalization means you're cut off from parts of yourself. Whether that's intentional or not, whether that was you or somebody else, that's not the point. The point is that you have no choice but to restore a full communication between all parts of yourself. If you want to gain any kind of spiritual power, and I'm talking about real power, not being trapped in your own karmic cause and effect chains that you put into motion. You forgot that you put them into motion, and now you're getting the feedback, and you don't even know how this is happening. Man, why do I have all these enemies? Why do I have this happening? Why am I constantly battling? Why do people betray me? Why do people do this and that and the other, right? Why don't I have enough money? Why don't I have, the health that I want and all these things, right? So it all starts with self-awareness, right? It all starts with self-awareness. And this is not what people want to hear. I understand that. I understand this is not what you want to hear, because you want results, right? I want you to put a love spell on this girl so that she loves me and craves me and all that stuff. I want you to teach me how to do this ritual and get money with it. In order to control something, you have to understand it, or overstand it if you want. And in order to overstand something, you have to have transcended it in your perception and in your understanding. Your mind has to be greater than the thing itself. So You know, was it Einstein? I think Einstein said it. You can't solve a problem from the level of consciousness at which it was created. You know, you could also see it like like a comfort zone, your comfort zone or your sphere of influence. If you want control over something, your sphere of influence has to be beyond that thing. So as long as you're still in an emotionally attached state, that thing is not under your control. You're not. It's not within your comfort zone. Maybe that's an example here. But the self-development comes before the power. This is why I always stress it. All my students will tell you. My students will always tell you, Frank talks about meditation. Frank talks about energy work. Frank talks about removing internal energy blocks. But this is hard. And it confronts you with yourself, with the things that you have not been willing to look at or able to look at because they were too scary. You know, like the boogeyman, you didn't look at them and they were deeply, deeply suppressed. You know, now I'm obviously not a therapist, nor do I claim to be one, nor would I want to work with somebody who has serious psychotic problems or something like that. Don't get me wrong. If you have these problems, seek professional help. I'm talking to the people who are reasonably sane. I mean, everybody has issues here and there, but I only want to work with people that are reasonably sane and are willing to do the inner work that is part of it. You know, and I think you can see, based on what I was saying, that for a clear communication with the spirits, clear divination, your ability to look into the future with crazy precision. I just did some live rituals, and it is always surprising to people to what extent I'm able to look into their lives, into their past, into their deep, energy dynamics and what happened in their past and what's going to happen in the future. And how is that done? Well, imagine being a creature that can only experience 2 dimensions. Imagine you're a creature that can only experience 2 dimensions. All you can do is you cannot look up, if that makes sense. You're only able to move linearly. Now you can, of course, move you choose a different angle, but your reality is a 2-dimensional one. Now imagine this 2-dimensional being now becomes conscious of a 3rd dimension. Boom. Now they can be here and they can see all the way down into the past, into the future. They can even go there like this. Boom. You see? The being was here. Boom. And 2-dimensional beings have to do. That's the speed they use to move. A 3-dimensional being can go from here to here. Boom. You see? So maybe that's an example of how that is possible. Frank, how do you look into my past and you can tell me exactly what happened there? Frank, how do you look into my mind and you know the exact intentions and the future projections and all that stuff? Like, how the fuck do you know? My friend, I'm not a physical body. I have a physical body. I have a mind. I have energy. I have an energy field, an energy body. But I'm not those things. Neither are you. You have just not freed your consciousness to the point where you are fully aware that you're not the body and the mind and the emotions, and you can redirect them and you can operate with your true self, with your higher self, whatever you want to call that, your consciousness, on higher levels of reality. And you can redirect, you can change the dynamics there. You can create new dynamics that then affect those lower levels. And now, yes, you can from that perspective, you can look into every mind. You can also look into the future. You can look into the past. You can also control things. And yes, you can command the spirit. Why? Because the spirit is subservient to a certain level of consciousness. It's that simple. If you can rewrite the code of reality, even the spirits will have to, the spirits of the simulation will have to obey you. It's just what it is. Very simple, but not easy. It's simple, but not easy, right? You know, it's always easier to understand or to talk about a journey in retrospect, right? But what I can tell you for sure is that an esoteric approach that takes you within yourself into deeper levels and causes integration must come before any external power. Always. So the magician, you know, I know mysticism is not cool. People don't want to hear that, you know. What a mystic, what the fuck does that mean? I want to call demons. I want to put a curse on that bitch and I want to do this and that and the other, right? Yeah. Doesn't sound as cool. Like a mystic doesn't sound as cool as a black magician. Right. Black magician. Black magician. Ooh. Right. I bet you some people are like, what is he talking about? African American magician? No, I'm talking. Yeah. Nah, it's all this bullshit, all these tags, all these categories. I'm a black magician. I'm a. This is what you use for the uninitiated, you know, and people that identify themselves as this or that or the other are retards. Not very politically correct, I get it, you know, but I mean, what is the etymology of retard? They're just backwards. They're backwards. Retard. They're devolving, moving backwards, right? So, freedom comes with limitlessness, hopefully, and labels are not part of being limitless. So, I think I said everything I wanted to say here. You must go within, you must integrate, and that's where the power comes naturally. It's a byproduct of you freeing your consciousness from this prison that you're in. And at that point, the manipulation that we live under is not going to have an effect on you anymore, and you become truly spiritually free. And with that comes a lot of power. And that's what the whole journey is about, you see? And at that point, this oh wow, being able to call a demon and tell it what to do. This is baby shit, bro. Baby shit. I'm bored. You know? I'm bored by this stuff. Ooh, you're doing an evocation, you call the spirit and you tell it what to do, and you can actually see it here and you get the result. Bro, this is like going taking a piss for me. That's the level of difficulty. And I'm not saying this to brag, but this is what happens. And you can do the same thing. Easy. Sorry, I should say simple, not easy. But you need to follow what I told you. You can have whatever it is that you want. You can do whatever it is that you want. But you have to go within and you have to confront the harm that has been done to you by the controllers of this world. Please understand, the rulers of this world are magicians. They're very, very intelligent, powerful magicians, but they're not all powerful. And they can't trap you here if you don't allow it. And I'm here to help you. I'll leave it at that and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.